that catches my interest here is on page 6. Puzzle of missing woman found dead with deep cuts. And this seems to be becoming more regular occurrence where murders are taking place and they cannot be explained. Not too long ago, we had the one of Wamboi, and is still under investigation on what was going on. But here's another case again in our hands. Betty, a worrying case of I don't know, Kenyans just not seeming to take life as serious as it should, and hoping that investigative arms of government are going to kick in and get the culprits.
And especially when it begins to appear that the lives of women mean nothing. You know, you just meet a woman on the street, she boards your taxi, and in a few hours she's dead. She's dead. And brutally so, brutally murdered. I think we need to go back to the basics and just ask ourselves what really is happening. The other case that you just mentioned, every other new day there's a new twist to it, Every time it is interesting. But bottom line is, a woman is dead. A mother of children is dead. A wife of someone is dead. A daughter of someone is dead, and so on. And I don't think this is something that we need to take lightly and that we need to, you know, we need to tolerate. It is becoming the norm. Like every other day when you read it on the news, you're like, it's just one of those. It's just one of those. But look at the cost of losing one woman in this country. It is too expensive, and I completely condemn.
I think this losing any life really is unacceptable. And
I completely, condemn this. I would just urge our investigative, apparatus to really move swiftly and fast enough to get to the bottom of these murders and bring to book the people who need to be brought, the culprits to be brought to book.
All right, Karanja Kabage, your thoughts as a lawyer, especially given that some of these cases, they hit the headlines at the beginning, then with time, they seem to fizzle out, but a life still remains lost.
Well, I think one of the primary responsibility of any government is protection of life and property. But first, life, because property is generated by people. Now, when you have these extrajudicial killings, because when you kill somebody, you are killing somebody, and it is not within the law, basically when you talk about extrajudicial killing. Now, for me, it's very worrisome, because when you talk about a mother is such an important part of procreation that we must protect the sanctity of life of our girls, our mothers, our sisters, our aunties, our grandmothers, and virtually anybody. But more importantly, the vulnerable group of people. When you are talking about women, they are much more vulnerable than men. Now, when you have a culture creeping in, where you have got the life of a woman being wasted, and we just, sort of wish it away, we don't think about it. I think I would say that it is high time the investigative and the prosecutorial arms of government become extra sensitive to this kind of thing. Because you see, when you have a situation of this nature, it speaks volume to what do we think of a Kenyan society. And from my point of view, I think we need vigilance by the law enforcement agencies. And also we are citizens. If you see somebody who is mistreating a girl, a woman, a mother, a sister, then you see these are signs that can tell you we have no value for our women. And I think that should concern every citizen of this republic.
All right, and well, let's look at the Daily Nation, and again, matters ethos, national ethos come into play. And the headline of the Daily Nation is Stars player was paid to let in goals. Again, we go back. So there's somewhere we have gone wrong as a society in terms of our ethics, our morals, our values. Betty, again, talking about that mother who is the one who instilled those values in us. I remember my mother literally instilled a lot of value system in me, whether it was through the cane or through consistent talking to me. But it looks like somewhere as a country we have lost it. Looking at now the headlines of the Daily Nation.
I'm thinking mothers and parents in general, to a large extent, do their part. there's no parent who ever wants or wishes their child to turn, to turn out, to
the wrong way.
The wrong way. And I think the buck stops with every single person. There's a time that you will have to separate from your parents and stand on your own. And at that time, you allow yourself to be corrupted, then it's really not your parents' issue anymore, but it is your issue. When I look at this story and the way we all look at Harambee Stars, if you want to look at that one single thing that unifies us as a country, it is soccer and it is Harambee Stars. When they're playing against another country, no matter where you come from, no matter your tribe, no matter, you're looking at, that is my team.
That is my team.
That is my team. And I want that team to win so that me, Kenya, I can feel, But now if this corruption has gotten to this level, I think we have a much, much bigger problem, to deal with. How on earth can even a player think about, fixing a match just to gain a couple of,
And it's for very selfish reasons.
And it's for
it's purely selfish.
This is evil. And this is purely selfish. And I think when we look at the fight against corruption now broadly, in Kenya, we marvel at the big names that we hear, being, arrested and taken to court, though prosecution not quite yet there. But we fail to realize that actually what that person is doing is what me and you do down here every single day. How do you explain this one?
Absolutely. And Karanja Kabage, the question of our national ethos, somewhere, somehow we have lost it. And we possibly have lost it because money or wealth has become such a god for many of us, to a point where we will sacrifice anything, including our country, to become wealthy.
Well, there is also a broader aspect of the problem that is being talked about here, and that is, on a worldwide basis, match fixing, whether it's organized by the managers or organized by players, it's a phenomenon that goes on. It also even touches on issues like doping. For example, you have a very big challenge in one nation called Russia. And in Europe, generally, you have this problem, which is very, very serious. But I think fundamentally, you come to what you call the role modeling. As a child, as you're being brought up, what values did you get when it comes to a question of don't cheat, don't lie? And it's also now creeping into the issue of kids being parents working towards giving their kids examinations.
Yes.
Now, when you are, if a parent can go out of his or her way to give her child an examination, to cheat, then what tells you if she leaves standard 7, leaves standard form 4, and goes to play, he will not have the same values, he will not have the same vices with him. He's going to have them. Now, it is therefore a broader problem that we need to deal with, because it shows that our ethics and ethos are highly challenged. Or we do not inculcate these values sufficiently to become deterrent from the point of view of a person when he goes in the pitch to play football. Or even if you're an athlete, if you accept to be duped, it's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
If you are playing rugby, if you are playing soccer, what you call the any other game.
Or even if you're just an athlete who is, doing the marathon.
Precisely.
And you've
whatever it is. You see, the thing is we are talking about games must be played within rules. Now, the moment you come out of the rules, then it is not only just football you are coming out of the rules. It is virtually the totality of you as a character.
Absolutely.
So I wouldn't think that the problem is just a question of playing football where the person is cheating. I think the person is actually having a deformed character And that is a critical challenge that we really need to deal with.
All
And
right.
what are the root causes for that sort of thing?
For that. And yes,
Just add
no.
something still on the sporting. I think broadly we need to interrogate our sporting sector in Kenya. We've seen quite a number of troubling corruption cases, that touch on top leadership within the sporting sector. And every other time we hear players have refused to go where because they've not been paid this, because the terms are how, and they can't go to the camp to train because they don't have this, they don't have that. And we've seen that even in the volleyball, story. And ultimately, that impacts on their overall performance as they represent Kenya in whatever sporting it is that they do. So I think also further to this, we need to just look at how players are managed and how the framework can be put in such a way that we don't have all these issues that we are hearing, that money was brought, but it was little, or it was brought, it was enough, but some, grew legs. So our players, get shortchanged in terms of being given the quality time for training, the quality time, to travel and represent us. So I think it needs a broader approach and discussion.
All right, and well, that brings us to 14 minutes after 7. We want to take a short break, but when we come back, let's look at matters Building Bridges initiative. And Karanja Kabage has rightly said that games must be played within certain rules, and there are certain rules that possibly we expect from the Building Bridges initiative to bring on board so that as a country we have fair play. That's a discussion we're going to have when we come back. For now, we take that short break. See you on the other side of the break.